I'm sure you've heard the news. The Middle East, a region steeped in history, culture and conflict. Amidst the turmoil, a voice rises, not of violence but of peace and desperation. This is the voice of That's Enough, an anti-war coalition echoing the sentiments of countless individuals across the Middle East.
That's Enough stands as a testament to the human spirit's resilience, a beacon of hope in a region shrouded in war's shadow. We're not asking for much, just a chance for our children to grow up without the constant threat of violence. We yearn for a return to normalcy, to a time when our homes weren't reduced to rubble, our families torn apart by bombs and bullets.
Their message is simple. That's enough. Enough war, enough intervention, enough suffering. It's a message that resonates deeply with anyone who values human life and dignity, a message that deserves to be heard. The USA's interventions have only worsened the situation in countries like Iraq, Syria, Libya and Afghanistan. These nations had their own issues, but they might have had the ability to solve them themselves. Now, due to the USA's involvement, the chaos has only deepened. Are you shocked to learn that the Middle East, often depicted as a land of conflict, is also a land of immense wealth? Beneath its sun-baked sands lie vast reserves of oil and natural gas, resources that fuel the global economy.
The allure of such riches has led to a long and troubled history of foreign intervention in the region. Great powers, driven by their insatiable thirst for energy security and economic dominance, have meddled in the affairs of Middle Eastern nations, often with disastrous consequences.
This meddling has had a devastating impact on the region and its people. It has undermined local governance, fueled instability, and created fertile ground for extremism to flourish. The tragic irony is that the very resources that were supposed to bring prosperity to the Middle East have instead become a curse, fueling conflict and instability. The region has become a pawn in a geopolitical chess game played by powerful nations with little regard for the human cost of their actions. You need to hear this if you're a believer in peace. The relentless cycle of conflict in the Middle East has created a booming market for one particularly grim industry: weapons manufacturing.
These merchants of death, often based in the very countries intervening in the Middle East, see a land not of human suffering but of lucrative business opportunities. They lobby governments, fund think tanks, and exert their influence to ensure a steady stream of conflict, knowing that each explosion, each bullet fired, translates into a hefty profit margin.
The Middle East, once known for its vibrant cultures and ancient civilizations, has become a testing ground for the latest killing machines. This constant influx of weapons has only served to exacerbate the violence, turning once peaceful communities into battlegrounds and leaving a trail of death and destruction in its wake. Yet, the profits continue to roll in, a testament to the cynical calculus of those who prioritize profit over peace. Exposing the seeds of terror in the unintended consequences of intervention.
In many cases, these interventions have inadvertently contributed to the very problem they sought to solve, creating power vacuums and fostering resentment that extremist groups exploit to gain a foothold.
The toppling of regimes, often without a viable plan for a stable transition of power, has left a void quickly filled by chaos and instability.
This creates fertile ground for terrorist organizations to recruit disillusioned youth, exploit grievances, and establish themselves as a force to be reckoned with.
Moreover, the heavy-handed tactics often employed in these interventions, such as drone strikes and indiscriminate bombings, frequently result in civilian casualties. Addressing the root causes of extremism, such as poverty, inequality, and lack of opportunity, is crucial to breaking the cycle of violence.
The destructive role of Israel in the region through military actions and policies has further exacerbated tensions and contributed to the cycle of violence and instability.
Interventions also take a toll on the economies of the USA and other great powers, draining resources and costing the lives of soldiers deployed thousands of kilometers from home, often for the sake of securing oil interests. Why are there not more people talking about the silent suffering caused by sanctions as a weapon of war?
These sanctions, often imposed under the guise of promoting peace and stability, have devastating consequences for ordinary citizens, crippling economies and denying access to essential goods and services.
Imagine a mother unable to feed her children not because of war or famine, but because her country's economy has been crippled by sanctions.
Picture hospitals struggling to function, lacking essential medicines and equipment due to trade restrictions.
This is the reality for millions living under the crushing weight of economic sanctions. They are a form of economic warfare that targets the most vulnerable, depriving them of their basic needs and pushing them further into poverty and despair. The human cost of these sanctions is often overlooked, but the suffering is real and widespread. I don't think people understand the depth of the crisis in the Middle East. It's a silent crisis that deserves far more attention and a more humane approach.
We need to listen to the stories of those directly affected to understand their struggles and aspirations.
By amplifying the voices of the Middle East, we can foster greater empathy and drive meaningful change.
It's about time we stopped viewing the Middle East through the lens of conflict and started seeing the humanity that exists within it.